and made new friends. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife and today I am taking you through all of the brand new to me authors that I discovered and loved in 2023. It's not every single new author to me, and not all of these are going to be brand new as in debut authors, but these are authors whose books I picked up for the first time in 2023, and they will definitely be appearing back on my shelves in years to come. First up is Julia Whelan. I picked up Thank You for Listening back in February, and I absolutely loved this one. Thank You for Listening is about two audiobook narrators, so I think I knew that I was in good hands here anyway, because Julia Whelan herself is an audiobook narrator. She has actually narrated some of my favorite audiobooks, so I knew that her knowing what the world of audiobook narration is like, it was just going to add in a little extra level of excitement for me. It also, however, deals really well with a car accident that one of the main characters had gone through previously, and with their kind of self-confidence and self-image issues that they had had as a result of that, and also the disability that they are now suffering with. I thought it was written so well. But something that I really loved about this was, like I said, it's about an audiobook narrator. So I just loved the kind of a look behind the curtain of what that world is like. When you're listening to these books, you don't really stop to think about how the sausage gets made. You don't really stop to think about what life is like for somebody who is an audiobook narrator. So hearing about the kind of things that they have to go through when they get through the studio, or having to go through the same paragraph 20 times because they didn't get the tone of voice right, I thought it was such an interesting book, and I would absolutely love to read more from Julia Whelan. I'm actually not sure if this is her debut though. I have been in my library recently and I saw a book that was written by Julia Whelan, but I thought that the character names on the back of that book were different to the character names here. So maybe I have got more Julia Whelan books that I can go and check out. Somebody whose backlist is a little bit more intimidating to me than that though is R.F. Kuang. I had heard such great things about her writing for ages, but I was never the kind of person who would read the books that she was writing. I am not a fantasy girly, so I didn't pick up the Poppy War series. I am not a dark academia girly, so I never went for Babel. And then when she wrote a contemporary literary fiction book in Yellowface, I instantly picked it up because I knew this was my opportunity to see what her writing style was like, and boy did it deliver. This was such a cutting and scathing look at the publishing industry, and about racism, and about class issues, and about who can tell what story. I thought it was such a fantastic read, and I cannot wait to see if there's other books that R.F. Kuang has written that might work for me. I will admit, I have got a copy of Babel now in my possession, and I'm a little bit worried about it because I know it's going to be such a dramatic departure from what I usually read, but I'm also excited about it because I know that R.F. Kuang writes so wonderfully, and I know that her work is so wonderful that maybe this will work for me. Maybe I am going to become a dark academia girly. An author though whose backlist I will absolutely pick up is Catherine Ryan-Howard. I read 56 Days back in March, and while it was a COVID book and it was one that I had put off for a little bit, I really did enjoy this one. It was one that I was kind of watching through the windows as it was all happening the first time, because I didn't live out the COVID lockdown in Ireland. I was in Germany for the entirety of the lockdown. But I had family who was going through all of this. I had friends who were going through all of this. So now I got to see what it was really like for them from the experience of two people who were living in it. But also I got to see a budding relationship, and I got to see two people getting to know each other who had just met each other in the queue in Tesco one day. I found Catherine's writing to be so gripping and to be so enticing, and I never really knew where the story was going, and that is exactly what I want to see from a thriller writer. I want to be swept off my feet in that way more often than I am already knowing where the story is going to go. I really want to be kind of pulled to the side when I think I'm going down this road, and that is exactly what Catherine Ryan-Howard's books did. I know that she's got a load of other books on her backlist that I can go and check out, and genuinely I'm so excited to get to look at them. A romance author whose books I picked up for the first time in 2023 is Meryl Wilsner. I read 2 of their books in 2023 and both of them were just phenomenal. I've got one more book left to tick off, and I am so excited for it because I know that their writing style works for me. I know that their storytelling is so immersive. I know that their characterization is something that I can definitely get on board with. As a character-driven reader, There were such vivid descriptions of the characters that I genuinely felt like I was watching it happen as pictures in front of me, and that's not something I can do quite a lot. I have got one more book of theirs, like I said, and I'm not entirely sure if they're working on anything at the moment, but if Meryl Wisner brings out a Chinese menu, I am going to sit down and read it. I am so enamored by their work that I cannot get enough of it. Another thriller writer whose work I discovered in 2023 is Lisa Jewell, and I think I kind of shot myself in the foot here because I think I've started with the best one. I read None of This Is True back in October on the recommendation of a couple of friends of mine. I was just looking for a thriller book that was going to grip me. I was looking for something that was going to keep me on the edge of my seat the whole time, and a couple of people recommended None of This Was True to me. I fell in love with this book. I loved how immersive it was because I listened to the audiobook of this and you could hear cafe noises as they were in a cafe having an interview with each other, or you could hear restaurant kind of ambient noises as they were celebrating a birthday at the start of the book. I thought it was such an interesting and clever way of telling the story. And also I loved how kind of put together the ending was. I felt like the ending came to me in such a speed that I am still processing it to this day. And I feel like that's such a great thing, in that I still have to think about this book. I still have to kind of figure it out, and I still have to word around it a little bit. Like I said, I have been told that this is one of Lisa Jewell's books, if not her best book entirely. So I don't know how I'm going to go from here. I don't know where I'm going to go next. I know that she has got The Family Upstairs, and there's another book in that series as well that I will try and get my hands on in 2024. But I think I'm in pretty safe hands here. However, a series that I did start with a new author in 2023 is the Love Light Farm series by B.K. Borison, and I genuinely enjoyed this one. There were a couple of things that didn't sit well with me. There were a couple of kind of writing styles or just parts of the story that I just raised an eyebrow or two at. But overall, I found this to be such an immersive story. And I think the thing that I loved the most about it is that it was in a small town setting. And B.K. Borison writes small town settings so well. I really felt like I was walking along the streets of Inglewild. I really felt like I was in the middle of the tree farm that Stella and Levi own. I really felt like I was walking along with Evelyn, kind of getting to know Stella and Levi as part of the competition. I love kind of small town stories like that. I love watching Gilmore Girls because of the small town element. And I feel like that is something that this book and hopefully the rest of the series encapsulates so well. I know that this is, as of now, a 4-book series, and the 4th book in the series is coming out in maybe June or July of 2024. So I have got 2 more books that I need to get to reading before I'm already up to speed. I also, very unexpectedly, loved the work of Travis Baldree in 2023. I picked up Legends and Lattes almost on a whim. I had just heard that it was a really good book. I had heard that it was a really cozy book, and I love a cozy book. I love a book that has to do with coffee shops. I love a book that has a small town setting. So it felt like an Aoife book. It felt like something that would really drag me in. I just don't think I was ready for how much it would drag me in. I don't think I was ready for how immersed into the story I would be. And I really was. Rather like the Love Light Farm series, this is set in a very small town. It is set in a coffee shop here, and you really do experience the coffee that is being poured and the people who are getting to know what coffee is like for the first time, and the buns that are being baked, and the little baker who comes into the shop every single morning with something new that he wants them to try out and something new that he wants them to put on the menu. I felt like I was sitting in the corner watching all of this happen, and I was reading my book, or watching everything happen while I was like writing away at something. It truly took me in a way that I didn't expect it to. I have also got my sights on Bookshops and Bone Dust, which is the kind of prequel to this book. And I've heard that if you've read Legends and Lattes, you might be a little tiny bit disappointed by it, but I am still going to give it a really good go. And I also know that Travis Baldree, like Julia Whelan, is an audiobook narrator himself. So I am trying to try and find an audiobook of Bookshops and Bone Dust, because I know that if he's a professional narrator, I'm going to have a really great time with this book. It's going to be really immersive, and the story is going to be really well told. Finally, an Irish author who I discovered in 2023, and I really enjoyed their books, is Claire Keegan. I did only read 1 book of hers, and I read it for book club, and I don't think I ever would have read it if it hadn't been for that. I don't think it was one that would have been on my radar at all. But I picked up small things like these for our book club meeting in November, and it was almost an instant 5 stars. I think one of the reasons that it got such a high rating for me is because of the setting. It was set really near to where I had grown up. It was set in like the 80s, so it was set a little bit before I was born. But I had such a great time with this one because this is the social history of the country that I grew up in. This is situations that I had known about. This is situations that people like my family had been through. So it wasn't an entire escape from reality for me. It wasn't completely out of my roadhouse. But I thought it was so well written, I just could not put it down. And it was such a short book as well, which really stems to how great an author is if they can tell a fantastic story and get it all done within about 150 to 200 pages. I know that Claire Keegan is a really popular author in Ireland. I know that Foster, one of her other books, that was on the Leaving Cert syllabus about 5 or 6 years ago. So I'm going to try and see if I can get a copy of that one. Not study it, just read it in my own enjoyment. And let's just see how Claire Keegan's writing works for me then. Those are all of the authors that I discovered in 2023 and who will definitely be coming on another journey with me in the future. Do you have a new favorite author that you read for the first time in 2023? If you would love to leave me a comment but you can't think of anything you'd like to say, then just leave me one of the pen emojis. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.